Hi everyone, how are you guys tonight? Happy Thursday. You guys are live here on the Dixie Belle Paint Facebook and Instagram page with Brandy. My name is Brandy. I'm with Brush by Brandy and I am a Dixie Belle Paint brand ambassador.
Yes.
I made it.
All right, sign off. We're done.
And I paint here live with you guys every Thursday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern. And tonight we're actually going to use some different products. We're not going to use the paint. We're going to use some other stuff. My husband Sean is here. If you guys have any questions, pop on and let me know. And we're going to be working on this piece right behind me. This color is fabulous, by the way. Dixie Belle, we need this color in our line. I would call it Juniper. Okay, that's what I would name it. It is a custom mix of primarily palmetto. If you were to ask me the ratios, I could not tell you because I don't measure my mixes. It's mostly palmetto, and then I added some antebellum blue to turn it to a little bit, just a slight bit teal, and then midnight sky to darken it. So that's where I am. I've got a custom mix of palmetto, antebellum blue, and midnight sky. Okay, that's what my mix is. It's shaded on the edges with just pure midnight sky, and then I lightened the center with just a little bit of French linen. And I listed all these colors in the title for this post, so it sounds like a lot of colors, but it's actually only 4 colors. I just used 2 for just shading, and then I have 3 in my custom mix. So where am I going with this? It's a really plain flat front piece, but I love flat front pieces versus stuff that has tons of intricate carvings and things on it, because it's a blank slate that I can do whatever I want to it. And I like to use so I use shading is one way that you can add interest to a really flat front. So I use that technique for my base. And then I'm going to add beautiful classic white magnolias over the top. And I think the magnolias are really going to pop against the dark color. That was my hope, is I wanted the contrast of the dark base with the really crisp, clean white flowers. And we're going to put this transfer on. And the reason I want to do this on camera is because I feel like people look at these transfers and it gets intimidating. Like, oh my gosh, how would I lay this transfer out on a piece like this? So I'm going to walk through it with you. Oh, my brush caddy's way over there.
Okay. Well, stretch.
Yeah, I know. Can you hand me my brush caddy? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this transfer all up, and I'm basically going to stack it so it kind of drapes down the side of my piece here. So I think it's going to be really pretty. So let's talk a little bit about what I use when I'm going to cut a transfer up. This transfer is the new Magnolia Garden from Dixie Belle. Okay, these are coming out as of next Wednesday. These will begin being available at some of your local retailers. Your elite retailers are going to get them first. And then they will hit the Dixie Belle website on April 7th. Okay, so from March 17th is when you can get them at retailers, and then April 7th they'll be available on the Dixie Belle website.
The 8th?
Do not listen to my studio audience. They will steer you wrong every time. All right, you guys, so when I look at a transfer like this, let's look at the 3 pieces. This is actually a 4-piece transfer, but I already used one on another piece, last week? It's these 3 pieces that I have left, and these, I'm going to cut them all up. I will probably end up using all of this. I might make it a challenge for myself to use every piece that I have left on here, because there's nothing I hate more than a wasted piece of a transfer. I'm frugal like that. So I like to start with big pieces. I will usually start with my biggest pieces, and then I can kind of branch off there, and then it will tend to get smaller as it branches out. But I start with my biggest pieces. So I actually like this guy here. Even though the flowers are smaller, it's a large swag. Let's start with this one. I'm going to take my scissors. So I always have out a pair of scissors when I'm doing this, and I'm just going to cut it right out. I like transfers like this that you can layer and stack, because you end up being able to create a million different designs, where if it's one set design, one set layout, you kind of start seeing the same things with it over and over and over again. Whereas this one I can customize to the shape of my piece. I'm going to peel off my backing sheet, and that will just get discarded. And then I'm going to figure out what I want my placement to be. So I've got this little piece of trim here, and I can decide if I want to keep it over onto just my drawers. Do I want it to run onto that trim? I think I'm going to keep it mostly onto my drawers. And I'm going to let it go right up to the top of this drawer here. And this is going to kind of be the base of my layout. So once I like something, I'm going to go ahead and stick it on. Now, I have a whole bunch of different surfaces here. I've got this top trim that it's going on top of. I've got this middle trim. I've got another drawer, and I've got this. So what do I need to get all around that? I'm going to cut this transfer a whole bunch of times, okay? But first, let's start and get this main piece on here. So I'm going to start with just this one drawer, this one flat surface, and let's go ahead and rub it onto this surface first. I'm not worrying about any of my other surfaces yet. And then I'm going to find the points where it starts wrapping, and I'm going to cut my transfer. Okay, so right there is going to be a cut. I'm going to cut it on the edge of this drawer. And I'm using a razor knife. So this is just an X-Acto knife, a razor knife, and I'm just going to slide that into the crevices of my piece. Now I can come and I can rub this onto this side. It's its own separate piece. It's not attached to this anymore. This has a little bit of a fluted detail, but these transfers take to curves and details remarkably well, probably easier than any transfer I've ever applied. These take to curves and details without tearing. So up onto this top portion, I only have this one little leaf up here that I'm going to leave. So it's barely even a piece, but I'm going to go ahead and leave that up there. Let's make sure I got all of this.
All of this.
Okay, and then I'm going to come and I'm going to cut this bottom, because now this is coming onto a separate portion of my drawer too.
Oh, we're going in.
I'm going to try to not slice my finger off. Okay, and now this is free from the rest. I'm going to go ahead and just rub this sheet on, and then this piece on this drawer is going to be complete. So once I feel like it's complete, I can come up here and find a little corner, and I'm going to start peeling it back. Let me cut this off so you guys can see better. Yeah, by the time I'm done with the transfer, I usually end up with it's in about 1 million pieces. You can't even tell what I started with. And that's kind of what the story is going to be with this one. So I rub as I go, and I'm pulling back the backing sheet very slowly as I go. And I'm watching my backing sheet to make sure that none of my little edges are pulling up on the transfer with the backing sheet. I want it to stay with my piece. I'm going to come down here and just get this bottom edge, because I want it to kind of wrap the bottom of my drawer where it falls right onto that corner. So
You're creating a lot of concerned individuals.
Why?
With your razor knife and how you're holding it.
Oh yeah, it's a terrible habit.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
do that. When I was in high school, I worked at a grocery store, and I did that. I have a scar on my thumb.
Are we flashing back, or is this story time?
Yeah, it's story time. I was holding a roll of coin. I'll demonstrate how to not open a rolled coin from the bank. Comes in plastic wraps, and I took my knife and I went zoop, and I've got a scar on my thumb right there. So yeah, I totally understand. I do understand. It's one of those things. What is it? Do as I say, not as I do nights. Okay, and then I like to rub over my transfer. I use the Dixie Belle finishing pad. It comes in these huge blocks like this, and I cut these down. So I just take a pair of scissors. These are great for transfers. They're great for smoothing out over your final coat of paint or your final coat of clear coat, just to knock down any nubs or anything like that. They don't leave the sanding marks like a sanding sponge would do, but this is also going to burnish my transfer. So I'm going to cut it down to this little tiny square. And I'll get what's like 8 uses out of one of these. And just this little square will do this transfer. So I rubbed over it with my fingers to make sure it's all attached. I don't have any raised edges. And that's because when you go to rub over it with the little sponge, the sponge isn't going to be able to feel raised edges like your fingers can. And then I just rub gently, making sure that I don't have any air bubbles. I usually pull outwards on my transfer. And this just kind of smooths out any air bubbles for me. So that's my first piece right there. I'm going to layer some more on top of that, but that gives me kind of a base. Then let's come do this part right here. It's gonna go into this. This is a fluted molding. So I'm gonna rub it into the flat portion first. And then I'm gonna hold it with my fingers. And just come get that little edge. And it's gonna look like it matches up right from my drawer onto the molding perfectly. Get into that corner. Okay, I need to pull this drawer out a little bit because it recesses a little bit further into my frame. So I'm gonna pull it out so it's kind of flush, and that way when I cut it, it's gonna be in the right spot. So same thing, I'm gonna cut this portion for my drawer. I got my finger out of the way this time, guys.
Oh man.
Sean's got 911 on speed dial right now.
No, I'm just getting a needle and thread ready.
Oh, you're gonna do it yourself? Nice.
I'm Bear
Good
Grylls
to know.
this.
Yeah. We need to save that $20 copay.
I wasn't even worried about the money. I just wanted to practice.
Good to know.
Yeah. I mean,
we're also gonna do sewing night here apparently, and then I can go ahead and I get the edges because those are the once your edges are attached, you can start kind of guiding your backing sheet away. It's those edges you got to worry about. Once you get the edges, like here, these edges on these little flowers.
yeah, keep the pinky down. Pinky only goes up for tea.
We're fancy like that. Someone said something about that on one of my videos the other day. You could see I was wearing slippers in the video. I'm like, do you think I get dressed up for this? I hate to disappoint you. That's really pretty, you guys. I love it against this dark backdrop.
Now, have you sealed this paint?
No, this is raw paint, you guys. This is raw paint. So these transfers do really well over raw paint. That's a great question to ask because different brands of transfers, you know, have different recommendations. And then right here, it's going to wrap the top of this drawer. So I'm just going to press that down. And then I'll go over all of this with my finger.
And then how long do you usually let the paint dry before you attempt this?
I would give it a full 24 hours because you're asking a lot from your paint. I'm rubbing over my paint quite a bit. I want to make sure it's fully attached, especially if you're putting a transfer over silk.
And is this silk?
No, this is not. This is the regular chalk mineral line. Okay, so I've got kind of a nice base here, and I'm going to layer some larger flowers. So I'm going to take this big guy and put it right over the top there. I'm going to cut it out.
The big guy.
I don't want to offend it. I mean, it's large and lovely. And then I'm going to let these smaller flowers kind of peek through underneath. I think it's kind of freeing layering transfers like this. There's really no way to get it wrong. So I think I want to go kind of off in this direction with it. Again, so I can just discard my backing, and then this will be an easier application because it's this large piece. And then I can kind of play around with how do I want it to weave in and out of these here. So I like that this petal kind of fits right in between those little blooms, but I don't want to cover them, so I'm just looking at different placements. You can even turn it, you know, a completely different direction. That looks upside down to me.
Brittany wants to know if that's how you describe me. Large and lovely.
Large and lovely. Large and lovely.
Yes.
Depends on who I'm talking to. And then this will be a nice and easy one to go on. These larger pieces go on really easily. It's when they have a lot of tiny little details that they take a little longer because you got to pay attention to all the edges. And this just has one cut. Oh, two. Sorry, right here. I'm just going to cut these right along the bottom. And then these will fall right onto my molding. I'm just going to attach these so they don't fall away. And I just hold it in place and then I'll wrap it with my fingers. And I rub it while I'm holding it. So it's wrapping that corner and then I rub it on and then I can pull away this little tiny piece of the clear backing.
And how much effort are you putting in there as far as burnishing it? How hard are you?
I mean, I'm not being gentle with it at all. I mean, I rub at it. I'm rubbing at my paint. I don't want to rub onto because if you kind of do one of these, you take a chance of scratching your paint with a wooden stick. It's fairly fresh paint. I just applied it yesterday. So I don't want to be scratching at my paint. I'm keeping it on my backing sheet.
Can I carve my initials in it?
Yeah, if you want me to do some damage to you, you sure can. I actually spent time on this paint finish, so. This is just me playing around. This is just me wanting to do something with the new Magnolia transfer, and I've been wanting to use this, mix this color for a while now. If you go, like, Google the color Tide Water. Tide Water? Yeah, Tide Pool. I think it's called Tide Water. Anyway, it's a
like
beautiful, rich, deep green, and I absolutely love it. Like, who is it that puts out the colors of the year? Pantone. Pantone came out and said our colors of the year were gray and yellow this year, and I'm like, whatever, Pantone. You guys haven't seen Tide Water yet. I don't listen to those Pantone colors of the year, though. I know a lot of people.
I don't listen to anybody.
You don't listen to the colors of the year.
You take that.
All right, this is another one of these large flowers, and I'm starting out with my larger pieces because I will put some branches in it. We're gonna go off this way. It's gonna come kind of down here, but I'm starting out with my larger pieces of the transfer. I have no idea what I'm doing. I didn't do any like pre-planning for this. Mostly I just have no idea what I'm doing. Yeah. Like,
oh look, Sean painted
anything.
Yeah. I have no idea what I'm doing.
On life in general.
I'm more of a verbal coach.
Sean's just here for moral support.
My own.
All right, and then I just have this one cut on here too. This is going to come up onto my edge, so I'm going to cut this with my razor knife. And I can bring it, I want to match it up to where the edge of that one sits. So I'll match it up, and then I can attach this on its own. It's not attached anymore.
Like your thumb.
And all these little pieces, it's kind of like a little puzzle that you put together. But these little pieces make it much, much easier to wrap corners and get it onto trim and detail and really conform it. Versus if I was to try to put this on while it was still attached, this is going to make it hard to bend. So I just cut it. I just cut it away from the backing sheet. All right, and let me find an edge. I can start pulling this away. Oh. I can't handle rubbing my fingernail against the raw paint. It is like a chalkboard. Chalk paint is like a chalkboard. Who would have thought?
Good.
Same thing, get my edge under there and start rubbing, and I pull my backing sheet away while I'm rubbing my transfer on. Okay, and then this one came up onto this edge of the drawer, so I'm going to pull my drawer out a little bit, and I'm just going to wrap that excess around this way. That way I've got a nice clean edge. So I posted a piece on my page today where I wrapped a whole bunch of drawer edges in a transfer, and this is exactly how I do it. I do a lot of cuts, and then that is going to match up perfectly with the edge of that drawer. So you can kind of see my shape is starting to pull together. So now I'm kind of evaluating the pieces I've got left. Like I like this branch. I kind of want it to flow off in one direction. I'm looking at what I've got left and what makes the most sense. But I think I want to put another maybe medium-sized flower there before I go off into this.
Can I stop you for a second? The colors that you use for your background?
Yes. Okay, so I've got a custom mix on here, and my mix is 3 colors. It's palmetto, so the largest percentage palmetto, antebellum blue, and midnight sky are all mixed into one container. This is my mix. I save all my old Dixie Belle containers. Well, not all of them, the one that are reasonably able to be cleaned. And I mixed it all in here. So it's one color. No, let me open this.
4 colors in one?
This is 3 colors. 3 colors in here.
There we go.
Oh, that's not happening.
Oh, man.
All right, and then I shaded with midnight sky on my edges, and I added a tiny bit of French linen to my center, and that gave me my lighter and my darker shade. So you can kind of see that. So Midnight Sky is one of the colors that's in my mix, but I used it on its own out here for shading. All right. So let's kind of see.
Here you go. Lid's barely on.
Thank you. This is my custom mix color in here. Can you guys see? That's all three of those colors: Palmetto, Antebellum Blue, and Midnight Sky. The Palmetto and the Antebellum make it a pretty teal, okay? And then the Midnight Sky just darkened it to the color that I wanted. So that's those three colors mixed into one. All right, so let's see. I kind of feel like I want to use some of these medium guys in here. I've used most of my larger flowers. Oh, I like that. That kind of looks like a butterfly. I'll place him off kind of by itself. I think it's supposed to be petals, but it looks like a butterfly. And I want to do kind of a mix of some of these small blooms in there. I'm going to take... I've also got these cotton blooms that I'll probably place in there somewhere too.
Nikki wants to know if you were a florist in your previous life.
No, but actually my mom was. How funny is that, huh? No, my mom was a florist for a long time. She doesn't watch my lives that I know of.
She's your biggest fan.
Yeah,
I don't watch them.
Not my biggest fan. I think she gets bored of me talking. Oh, Brandy again?
Yep. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
It's totally okay. I like it.
Is that the first time ever that you could relate to my mom?
Oh, man.
All right, and then I'm just going to kind of play with this guy and see. I don't know, maybe did I pick a piece that I'm not really sure about? I kind of want more green on it. So it's like putting a puzzle together, but it's got no right or wrong way. There is really no. Now I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put this back on the backing. Wherever I put my backing, I'm gonna save this because I'll use it in a minute. And I'm gonna cut a different one. I want this big one right here. Like a puzzle with no right or wrong answer to it. But this is how you get these really custom. All right, and then I kind of want to put this, I like how this gives me a little bit of greenery in between the two white flowers so that they don't just start blending together. So I'm going to put this in here and I'm going to layer a little bit of greenery on here. I'm going to go ahead and do this larger portion right here, my biggest piece, and then I'll start doing my cuts again.
And where do you find this transfer?
So this is coming from the new Dixie Belle transfer line. These are coming to your local retailers starting next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, Elite retailers can start ordering these. A lot of them are taking pre-orders already, you guys. So if you have an Elite retailer near you, you can go to the website and use the Find a Retailer function.
Sorry. Sometimes it cracks me up how people can see little things. Bob's over there with his face down. Like,
is that Sheila?
No.
Sheila's eagle eyes. So starting next Wednesday, your Elite retailers can start ordering the transfers. A lot of them are already taking pre-orders.
It was Holly, just to let you know. Got to give credit where credit is due.
And then April 7th is when they will hit the Dixie Belle website. Okay, so they are coming for the next few weeks. They're going to be getting out to the world, getting into everyone's hot little hands. They're really easy to use though, you guys. I have the privilege of working with Dixie Belle and getting to test a lot of the manufacturers before we chose who was going to create these for us. And this is the manufacturer that I chose. This is the one that I hands down wanted because these transfers wrap a curve like they don't tear. They do not tear. So if you've ever had a really complicated transfer application and your transfer just kind of tears, and no, it's a completely different experience with these. Like I'm able to get around all these corners right here and there's no tears in my transfer.
Bob is really bothering me.
I'll just hand it to you. You want to put them over here. Have some respect. Sorry, guys. I haven't put it away from last week. I don't know. This has been, I edited a whole bunch of videos this week, and I haven't painted a whole lot. So this leaf here is going to wrap this corner. So while it's still attached, I'm just going to press it down and let it wrap that corner. And I'll rub one side of it and then come and rub the other. And right away, because I'm forcing this backing sheet down, my backing sheet is going to want to pull away. So as long as I have that corner down, it's going to want to pop up like that. So corners like that are really easy. And I'll go ahead and pull this piece off, because this I've already cut away. And we'll kind of see how my design is looking. All right, and then I'm going to smooth this out because I have a few wrinkles in here just where I forced it to wrap those curves, so I can just smooth them out with my fingers first, and then I'll use my little finishing pad and softly rub over those.
Oh, Drusilla, I'm pretty sure Bob's hair is not flattened. Yeah, he's been...
Yeah, he has tons of body.
Yeah, I think he's good.
And then I can do this down here, and I like how this piece looks. Gave me a little bit of green in between the two white flowers. Contrast. I like to alternate. So in this case, I'm alternating the green and the white flowers for contrast in between the two. Make sure I get this little tiny edge right here. All right, and then I can pull my drawers out.
On camera?
Make sure it yeah, yep. We're all friends.
Hello.
We're all friends here, right? No judgment. And I make sure it wraps the bottom, make sure it wraps the side. Same thing with this one down here. This one I'm going to make sure it push it down and just wrap the top where I cut it. And then I've got a little, it just kind of hangs over a little tiny bit right here. And I'm going to push that down. These are adhesive, so wherever it's going to want to attach to the first thing it touches. In this case, I cut the backing sheet away, and so I'm just pushing it down to attach it to that side. I'm going to attach these. Get this down here in this crevice, and so that looks really nice. So I kind of want to, let's see, where should I go from here? I don't know, you guys can kind of see what I do when I'm placing transfers like this. I feel like I want to end this row in this guy here, but I need something else, like a medium-sized bloom in there. That's what I feel like it needs. Maybe like, that's too small. I'm not ready for the cotton yet either. Is that where this one belongs? And then I could use some individual leaves. I have a lot of individual leaves, so maybe I'll do that. I'll go ahead and put this one here. And then I can put some individual leaves in between these two. There's no right or wrong way, though. I'll show you what I mean by an individual leaf. I'll kind of put one in here. So you can layer these. This is going right over the top of this larger one. They stacked right on top of each other. And then I'm going to take some of these leaves in here. And where I didn't have a leaf attached, I just will overlap one. So I can put this kind of in here, and that gives me a little bit of, you know, I can frame out this flower even though it didn't have its own leaves attached. We'll put this guy right here. Starting to get buried in all my little pieces of cutaway trash. Okay, and then I can just rub my leaf right on here. Now this one's going to kind of wrap the top of this drawer. Where my hardware hole is, I just feel for it with my finger. It's right here. I'm going to poke a hole in it. I'm going to make this wrap the top of my drawer by holding it down. And then pulling it away slowly as I go. And that gave me a leaf where I didn't have one, and now I feel like I want another one going this way. So I have plenty of leaves on here to choose from. And I could do a more brown one. Let's see. Here, I like this. That's a more green color. And I'm always just evaluating what I have left, what works the best of the pieces that I have left. I'm going to kind of connect it to this other one and swing it whichever direction I want.
So let's talk ghost on these transfers.
The halos.
The halos.
Okay, you guys see them right now because I'm putting them on a dark color. Once I rub over my transfer, that's going to help a lot to get rid of the halo, and then the clear coat also helps. These actually have a minimal halo to them. So let's see. This is my, I want to make sure I rub over it with my finger so I don't have any edges hanging up. And then let's go ahead and burnish the transfer. I do not sand before I put the transfer underneath, or before I put the transfer over, and that's because I don't want to have sanding dust trapped underneath my transfer. Okay, but my little finishing pad kind of creates a little bit. So
I'm assuming, sorry to interrupt you, but I'm assuming that's kind of the question that was tapped into earlier in reference to, I didn't ask it, but in reference to shadowing. I'm just assuming that it also, I mean, it's that ghosting around the perimeter.
Yeah, there's a little halo. So it's what it happens is they pour adhesive on there and they print on top of the adhesive. So it's actually the pour lines of the adhesive that you see. But you can minimize them by, number one, rubbing them out with your finger, burnishing them with your little finishing pad, and then putting a clear coat over top, and they virtually disappear. These are really, really thin though. Let's see if I can show you on camera what we're talking about. Can you guys see it?
We're getting closer.
Has that little tiny bit of an outline.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're obviously going to be more visible.
What you guys see is kind of the dark perimeter. It's because you're looking in the paints in the background. That's why you catch it.
They're obviously going to be a little more visible against a darker background, but there's all those ways you can minimize it so that you don't really see them. So I'm being aware of my hardware too. Let me show you my hardware for this guy. It's tucked into this drawer. I've already cleaned it. So this is going to be my hardware. So when I'm putting my transfer on, I'm also considering that my hardware is going to be right here, and I probably don't want to put this piece of transfer right underneath there to where it only peeks out on the edges. You know, I want to kind of maximize what you see of my transfer. And then we're going to work on these legs tonight too. So I've sanded them bare. And I want to leave the raw, I love the contrast of the raw wood up against this color. So I want to leave my wood pretty natural, but I'm going to add a little bit of wax just as a detail. So I want this to kind of, or I could kind of build my own here. See, I've got these branches here, and I can put the blooms off the branches and build them myself. Alright. Oh, I like this one. Okay, let's use this.
You okay there?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty excited right now.
Pretty pumped.
Yeah. So I really like this one. Let's see, I'm kind of thinking of where I might want this cotton too. Maybe that's too small for right now. Anyway. I'm thinking something like this, and it can go right up here onto the top, and it'll just kind of start drooping downward. What do you think, like right there?
If I tell you, then you're going to change it.
Yeah,
that's how this works, I know.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm just going to do it.
I don't like it there.
Well, I could.
Well, no, you're doing the opposite. You're okay. That's how this works.
I kind of like how this like droops down onto this drawer, and it's going to kind of...
Should have came in the valves 20 years ago.
Going to kind of look like a frame. Yeah, I vow to change anything that you tell me. Do the
pull
opposite.
Pull a trump card every time. Yeah.
All right, and then I'm going to cut this top right here. A nice clean cut, and this I'll pull up onto this top edge. Because otherwise, if I leave it on there, it's just going to wrap, and you won't see it. It's going to go inside the drawer, and I feel like it's kind of a lost cause. I feel that way a lot.
That's too bad. Should stop walking around mirrors.
Oh, really? All right, let's see how this looks. What do you guys think? I'm kind of digging the white up against this dark green color. I like the different colors in the leaves and the brown up against the green. This was a really flat front that just became a blank canvas. I think there's an art to applying transfers. I don't think it's, you know, just, it's not like applying like a, you know, sticker. There's a layout and symmetry and what looks good, and considering the piece that you're working on, and so I kind of think there, you know, there's a lot of design factors that go into this. Wish I could stand back and look at this. Does that look pretty? Oh yeah, I love that. I kind of want to mirror that down here. And I might do that with, maybe I'll build one of these branches and add some blooms onto the end of it. Is probably how I'll get there. Let's fill this out a little bit. All right, this has kind of a stem on it, and I want it to look like it's originating from one of the blooms that's already there. So I just tucked that little stem right up into a corner. And then you can see why I started with the larger blooms, because it makes sense that you would have the larger ones with the smaller ones kind of fingering off of it.
Brittany says if you need to make some room, you can send her that box over there.
Yeah, some of them are empty. They're all cut up at this point. We each got one sample of each design to play with.
Lynn has a good question. You ever finished a piece and then decided you don't like it and you're going to redo it?
Okay, you guys want to talk about this? That's a really good topic. That's a fun topic. Here's my theory on it. I would rather sell it to somebody at a discount, even if I needed to, than go back and redo it. So I always try to sell it first. Here's the deal. I've never had a piece that didn't sell. I never have had one. Never. Sometimes they take longer than others, but I would rather put my time into a new piece than go back and redo one that I could just
double your effort.
That I could just discount a little bit. I could make twice the amount if I just go and put that effort into a new piece versus repainting the same one over. So even if I have to discount it, you know, I've got one right now that sat around for a while that may be the first piece that I repaint, but I'm not in love with it anyways.
I'm right here.
Yeah. So I mean, I firmly believe that there is a home for every look, every finish.
Yes, it is, Sheila.
I've got a bunch of leaves. This one's kind of has a weird curve on it that doesn't, it needs to go with this big flower, but it's facing the wrong direction. I'll probably put it with this one. So I don't know, that leaf might get passed over. Constantly going back to the well of what do I have and how can I use it. I thought I would use all of this, but I'm starting to feel like it's getting pretty full as it is, and I don't think I'll use it all. So guess what? You guys get to see two pieces with the Magnolia Transfer. I might save this cotton for something else. I actually have an idea for the cotton on another piece that I'm doing. So anyway, you can kind of see how I would build up a transfer like this, and I kind of just start with my larger pieces and then start weaving in smaller things. You know, a leaf would look cute here. Where's that leaf that I passed over? You could do a leaf kind of poking out here. Oh, that was that one. Still the wrong curve, huh? I need it to be curved the other way.
Brittany's putting out advertisements on my behalf.
For what? Do I want to know?
Please hold. This weekend only, you can get a deeply discounted, large, and lovely Sean.
Deeply discounted.
Not just this weekend.
Okay, let's talk about what I want to do to the legs of this really quick before we start running out of time. So I've got my basic paint finish. I'm going to lay my transfer on and weave it around in my full design. I will continue to add to this. I don't feel like it's done yet. But I want to show you what I'm going to do to these legs. So I've sanded these bare. I'm going to tip my piece up. That's my hardware inside the drawer. Okay, I've sanded these bare. They're down to the raw wood. They're a little darker in the crevices still, where my old stain was. Rolling over my transfer. Okay, I want to add some dark wax to this. So I'm going to take my Dixie Belle black wax.
Oh, I didn't want to get in there.
Yeah, it was kind of on the fence. I'm gonna try doing this with the paint and see if I like it.
I was getting so close, it was like I could see what you were thinking. Let's take it back a notch.
I just want to darken these crevices. I'm gonna try the paint, but I'm thinking wax. Because I don't want, yeah, I think that's gonna leave it too dark. I don't want the whole thing to stay dark. I actually want them pretty light with just the black in my crevices, and that's, I think wax is going to be a better fit for that. So I'm just going to take my chip brush and I'm going to write it in these crevices here. I'm just going to go all the way around, and if it gets a little bit onto my raw wood, that's okay. This is a water-based wax. It actually wipes away really, really easily. I'm going to come in here and get a little bit of this. And I'm going to go all the way around this circle. Now I'll probably need to turn my dresser a different direction to get around the back. So I'm not going to worry about that, but let's just get around the front right now. I want to dig my wax into these crevices. This is probably one of those jobs where you could use a whole bunch of different things. So on here I was thinking you could use Voodoo Gel Stain would do this job really well. The paint, you could use the paint, a diluted coat of paint. You could use a glaze for this. There's some of the products in the line that come down to personal preference. What do you like? I kind of wanted like the smeary, smudgy, little bit of aged, almost like it's a smoked wood. And I want to try to leave some of these exposed parts.
So what are you throwing on there again?
So this is black wax. This is Best Stain Wax in black. I'll show you my container. This is when I'm pulling it out of.
Please. Yeah, there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm using, and I'm applying it with a chip brush. And I just rode my chip brush into my crevices. I'm going to take a rag, and I'm just going to wipe it out of the crevices.
So many things about this.
Can you grab me my baby wipes?
Come on.
They're on my counter back there.
Oh my gosh. This is ridiculous.
Are you going to quit? Wait, don't answer that.
No, I'm going to unionize here. Where are they?
On the counter. Like, if you were to look right in front of you.
Obviously, just look at my good eye.
So I could leave this in the kind of darkened color, but I actually want... Wow, that was aggressive.
I missed. I was aiming for 6 inches higher.
I actually want these areas to be pretty light, so I'm just going to wipe it away. You can kind of see now how this is a basic glazing process, only I'm using the wax. Because it's that water-based wax, it wipes away really easily. This is unsealed wood, you guys. Unsealed wood. So I'm just letting my wax kind of stain the wood in those crevices. I'm wiping it away as much as I can on the outer portions, and I'm going to get this nice contrast where all these, you can kind of see, the moisture is changing the color of the wood. It's got to dry now because I just used a baby wipe on it. But when it's dry, I'm going to have that really blonde color of the wood, the dark in the crevices, and it'll give me the contrast of these turned legs.
So like a dirty blonde?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, the best kind.
Here, hold on. Huh? Dirty blonde? Huh?
Yeah,
Carry
I
on.
my hair done really badly.
Oh no, I wasn't pointing that out. I don't want to die today.
All right, I want to keep these nice and dark, just right in those very low points. Isn't that pretty? Then you can kind of imagine when the wood dries and it's back to that blonde color again. It'll really bring out the turnings in the wood legs. So I just sanded these beforehand. I just sanded them using my Circrup sander as much as I could. You don't have to get totally into the crevices because I'm darkening them anyway. So if those still have some of my original stain in them, that's okay. That's just a little bit of black wax on the raw wood. You can apply wax onto raw wood. And then you have the option. I could seal over the top of this with a clear coat if I wanted to, or just leave it and the wax will cure and that will be my sealant in itself. So it's really optional if you want to go back and seal this. I will probably seal this with the rest of my piece. You know I like detailing with black wax too. Not with a chip brush though.
So there's a call for a color, juniper, and June came on. Said and asked if she needs to have a name tag made. Love it.
That is really pretty. The dark turnings with the body color on this. You guys can see if Sean will back up.
Whoa.
No, keep going.
No,
keep going. Keep going.
I'm not Wile E. Coyote. Keep going.
You can see the leg that I haven't done versus this one, how it darkened the turnings of the wood leg. All right, you guys, so this is going to be pretty, right? Tell me it's going to be pretty? I like it.
It's got a great attitude.
I don't care what you think. I like it. I'm excited for once this wood dries and gets back to that kind of blonde color that we've got over there. It's going to be really pretty. All right, you guys, I'm going to finish my transfer.
That's a really pretty leg. It's like a big leg. Yeah.
This one right here. I'm wearing my fancy yoga
Yeah, I
pants
see that.
tonight.
With your sweet boots.
Yeah. These have been my boots since I started painting, and I'm going to have to get new ones.
Let's go in a museum.
I hate to break it to you, but like my feet,
what?
I put insoles in them, and I'm starting to feel that they're not so great.
No. I can at least duct tape the bottoms.
Yeah, no,
they got another 5 years in them.
No holes or anything, but my feet hurt. Okay, you guys, so I'm going to pop off. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Our colors, again, that we used tonight, I've got a custom mixed color on here of Dixie Belle. Palmetto was my base, mostly palmetto. A little bit of antebellum blue, a little bit of midnight sky. That's how I mixed my custom color. And then I used midnight sky as my low light for shading and a little bit of French linen in the center for my highlight. So those are my colors, and then we applied the Magnolia transfer. These are coming again March 17th, next Wednesday, to your elite retailers. We'll start having these next Wednesday. And then April 7th, they'll be... You're going to confuse me even. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
And then April 7th, they'll be available on the Dixie Belle website. So that's when you can get the transfers that we applied tonight. And then we used a little bit of black wax on our legs down here. I'm going to do the same thing in these crevices on the top. I've also sanded this. Somebody had refinished this top at another point. So I had to do a little repair on the top. They blew through the veneer in one spot. I don't care. I'm going to keep it. It's pretty. All right. So you can check all those out at the link I put above in the post. You can also find your local retailer there too. You guys have a great weekend. I will talk to you guys next week.